He looks to throw, looking deep downfield. He's got a receiver open. It is complete. That is Stevens for a touchdown.
The Bulldog Radio Network proudly presents the Coach Gray Show on 102.7 FM, Kearney's hometown radio station. And now, here are the hosts of the show, Mike Davis, Jim Dickerson, and Coach Josh Gray.
And welcome to the Coach Gray Show. Thank you, Brian. I appreciate that. That was Brian Watts that's pushing the buttons over there. He's our producer, engineer, and pretty much in charge of everything here at the station. He tells us what to do. I think, Jim, isn't that correct?
Yes.
Do we typically do that? I'm not sure we do. We don't really listen to him.
We don't listen to him. No. There's no reason to listen. Well, there is because he pushes the buttons.
Right.
So you want to see pure silliness. Yeah,
he is the hardest working man in Kearney.
He is very much.
That
so.
we know, and that's the voice of Jim Dickerson to my right. He is your voice of the Kearney Bulldogs, and we also have the namesake of this show in studio with us today. Coach Josh Gray. Is the studio audience in here, Brian, today?
No, they're out. That's only for Kearney Live.
Oh, that's right. Oh, it's a shame.
Way to pay attention.
Welcome to the show, Coach. Good to see you.
Good to see you, too. Thanks for having me on again today.
It is always fun having you in here on Thursdays, Thursday morning, Thursday noon. It's my favorite time of the week. Well, most of the time.
It's kind of like Christmas.
It is.
When I get to come here and see you all.
And it's over so soon, just like Christmas. All right, so here we go. Weather became a part of the game. It forced two halves of football over 2 days for the Bulldogs to finally take a 17-14 overtime win over the Grandview Bulldogs.
And look at that beautiful picture.
And that is just gorgeous.
That was taken that night.
Shot by one Jim Dickerson.
Yeah, I actually did that. If you want me to, I'll hire out. I'm available for, if you happen to have an event where you have a hailstorm, give me a call. I'll take a nice little picture. But if you look real close on that picture there,
it's not
that is
snow.
not snow on the field. And it literally started to cover the field. And the funny thing was, after they called the game, I don't know who it was. Probably don't want to know, but someone on the coaching staff or one of the managers or stuff is trying to recover camera equipment and everything that's down there on the field. And then the hail started getting worse. And I was like, that guy needs to get under something quick.
Yeah.
It was, but that
dedication.
Was,
dedication.
And I now have to make a phone call to the old insurance company because I picked up a little bit of hail damage on that one.
As many folks in Kearney do, Jim. I think we just talked about a little bit earlier before the show that folks have roof damage.
Yeah.
So we know some good insurance agents that hopefully,
kind of around the area.
Yeah. Good friends of them. Breedlove made the field goal in the overtime that gave us the win, thank goodness. And
that was kind of a nail biter.
It really was, and we were there. We saw that, and I'm just telling you, Coach. The thing, and in fact, I mentioned it on Saturday morning when we first got there. I said, this presents a real challenge for both coaches, and so I thought, it'd be the first question I'd ask you today from a coaching perspective. I mean, how difficult is it to negotiate a 2-day game because of weather?
Right. That's it's interesting because we got off the field, obviously, due to the lightning, and then it kept storming and it picked up, and obviously we ended up postponing it. So you're there kind of, I don't know, an in-between time of 8 o'clock, I think it was somewhere around there, something like that. And so you're kind of in the mid-time of what's going on, and, they need to go home, go to bed. They need to, not go bebopping around town or whatever, and you want them to go home and get kind of focused in for the game the next day because it's going to be an early rise and we got to be ready to go. And so they did a good job of that, and so we had to kind of hold them a little bit because the storm was going through pretty heavy. It was when I ended up leaving, it was still water across the road, and there was a lot of water. So trying to get them focused in to get home safely, making sure nothing, they're being careful when they're driving home. And that was the main focus, to get home and get safe and kind of get to bed. And, I know some of them wanted to eat, and, you don't want to string it out all night and to go and to do stuff. And
yeah, but so there were a couple of parts of that. Number one, when I got in my car, it was like I just stood in the shower because I was drenched. But the other part is, it's like anything else, and everybody's been through it. When you do something like that and you're kind of hyped up, it's not like you can just go home, go to bed, and fall right to sleep. Most people don't.
Right.
So you're replaying in your head what happened or what I could have done better or what I'm going to do tomorrow. Oh, I got to get up tomorrow. When do I need to set my alarm? I hope I don't oversleep. All that stuff's going on, and you're trying to sleep, and it just doesn't go well.
No, it doesn't, because it's like coming home after a Friday night after the game, you don't go to bed for 3 or 4 hours. You're kind of amped up, and so that piece, and then you come back to Saturday morning, and we brought them in early and had a little breakfast snacks for them, and had them kind of getting them ready to go and get a little something in their stomach before we had to play, and and then now it's a whole different atmosphere. The next day, the weather was different. I mean, there's just a lot of things that you kind of have to, I shouldn't say consider, but you have to make sure you're mentally ready for as an athlete, that you got to be prepared for when with something like that. And you got to mentally get yourself ready to go again the next day. Obviously a lot earlier start than a 7 p.m. with an 11 a.m. start. Changes the whole dynamic of things, just from a atmosphere-ish type of, when you're going to go play the game. So I felt we were pretty dialed in, really, when we came in. It was like, wow, they're wide-eyed and bushy-tailed, ready to roll. And, they're pretty spry and focused in, ready to go. So you never know how that's going to look or what that's going to look like when you divide that game up, any game in 2 days, and let alone, kind of going through trying to get home the night before.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mentioned to you earlier, too, just before we went on the air, that the Grandview Bulldogs looked like a different team on Saturday morning.
Yeah.
I mean, they came out and looked pretty darn good. In fact, as I looked at the sort of time of possession, the total plays, first downs, penalties, and penalty yards, it's almost a mirror image of the Grandview Bulldogs versus the Kearney Bulldogs. I mean, that game was really pretty darn even all the way around. And it didn't appear to us, or really anybody with a pair of eyeballs, on Friday night, that Kearney looked like they had charge of that game.
Right.
And that all changed on Saturday morning.
And I was, I think the thing I was probably most proud of with our group, I think they persevered through some things. They grew through some things, and knowing how the game was going, what we had to do, how we had to step up and make some plays. And I think that was a good learning game for us, that we could be in a tight game like that and be able to persevere through, and come out with a win. And, it was another total team effort as far as winning that game, getting us in position, getting the stops we needed. I was very happy to see how we kind of persevered through that game. And, Grandview's a good, and I know, we people can get caught up on records pretty dang easy on what a team's like. And, that's a good football team. That's a big physical football team with a lot of speed.
Yep.
And they came out ready to go. And as well as we did, I think, we were able to do some things and move the ball and get some stops. And, there were some times where, we didn't get off the field like we wanted to. A second and long play would turn into a first down. And, a third 3 and outs weren't very. We didn't have many 3 and outs on the game defensively. So those are some things, obviously, that we continue to focus on and continue to work on and continue to bring to light. But I was very proud of the team and the efforts that we gave and executing what we needed to do to get the job done. And sometimes in games like that, that's tough to do. But I was definitely proud of our guys and proud of the team, the way we came out and finished it, for sure.
Yeah, you talk about their team, and one of the things that Mike and I noticed is, so there was one guy, well, first of all, there were a couple of guys on their line that were gigantic. That one guy was listed 6'7", 255.
266. We give him a couple, the 10 pounds that they awarded.
I don't believe the 266.
Well,
and I'm not sure I believe the 6'7". He may have been 7'4". Well, he was huge. All I know is that I was sitting in the press box looking right straight at his head. I mean, he's that tall.
Yeah.
He was huge.
Clearly the biggest dude on the field.
And then the quarterback, there were a number of times that you guys had great pressure on him, but he was so fast.
Very
and
slippery.
he'd slip around the outside.
Yeah. We lost contain a couple times on that, or took maybe the not correct angle to keep him contained in. And, we were right on his heels, I think, many a times, and made him feel uncomfortable. And we were able to get to him a few times and get him out of bounds, or put some pressure on him to where we had him kind of hemmed up. But
he was real for a high school quarterback. He was fast.
Yep.
He was really
and he
fast.
could throw the ball pretty dang well too. I mean, he's a pretty good athlete.
And
for sure.
not to derail your thing, Mike, but real quick, what kind of pressure or what kind of confusion did it cause, if any? Because it was kind of funny because it confused us. He was the quarterback and the punter.
Yeah.
So when you get these fourth down situations where you're like, well,
what are they going to do?
Yeah, you could go either way here. What kind of confusion did that do for you guys?
It did look like they disguised it on at least one down, on one fourth down. Yeah.
So what they do typically when you have a quarterback or a punt team like they run, they're in one of their offensive sets. They got their offense on the field, and basically whatever signal, sideline call, whatever they decide that they're going to end up doing, if it's a situation where they want to run a fake, that's obviously available to them. But if he's going to punt it, he's got to back up to the 9 yards, and then
I see. Okay.
So once he would back up, then we knew obviously it was going to be a punt.
Okay.
It was declared a punt. So then we were able to kind of adjust some of the things that we were doing. Maybe didn't look like it, but just mentally, as far as what our job is and what we were doing once he got into that punt formation, if you will.
Yeah, but where he stood and the punt line.
It looks the same.
We were like,
you're only talking a few yards.
Yeah,
now.
and we were like, what's he going to do? What's he going to do? What's he going to do?
Yeah.
So that was how you guys prepare for it. That was pretty good to be able to make that switch on the fly.
Right.
I think. Did you know he was?
Both.
Yeah, we didn't.
Nobody tells us anything
Because we were standing there going, okay, they're going for it. It's 4th and 90. They're at the 2, and then he'd back up, and we're like, I see where we're going here.
You talk about a game like this being a challenge when it's this close. Individual plays make a huge difference. I mean, not the least of which is Breedlove's field goal at the end,
right?
And one marvelous attempt at how long was that, Jim? Do you remember?
We marked 54 yards.
54, yeah,
right.
I think he was about 2 yards off.
Oh,
it was just,
we were
right. Yeah.
Now we don't know that that's his furthest distance. Coach won't tell us. He might perhaps have even made one farther than that in practice. But what a leg that young man has on him.
Yeah, he's really come along nice.
Yeah,
and it was dead center.
Yeah,
it was nice.
He's got a lot of confidence going right now, and I know and it was nice. I shouldn't say it was nice. It was great to see him come back and make that final field goal off of, and I know he had a lot of confidence after that 54-yard attempt. Mm-hmm. I had a lot of confidence in that he was that close. But the one prior to that where we had missed one, and to come back and seal the deal like that was great for him, obviously, and for that unit, for a good team unit. So
right,
that was good to see.
There was a very large exhale in the press box too after that.
Yeah.
Well, and the funny thing is we had talked the week before, or I'm sorry, on this show the night before the game. Well, 2 days before now, because it was Saturday, about being in that situation.
Right.
If you had a situation where, and so we were talking about it, we were like, is he going to do it? Is he going to do it? And, oh man, it was so close. It was so close.
That would have been a thing of beauty, but a terrific effort. And again, I mean, he was spot on. I mean, as far as, it was perfyperfectly centered, again, between the uprights.
And to have a sophomore like that step into a pressure situation,
I know. I noticed that this morning during show prep. I thought, holy moly, that guy's a sophomore. Yeah. But what poise? Absolutely right. And just a host of other players. In fact, on my my sheet, my list of guys to talk about, which is generally the entire team. I see so many really great players, and one of the guys that I noticed is your defensive. Because I want to talk about your defensive player of the week. Because for once, your defensive player and our player of the game matched up. Yeah, and I want to talk about that young man too. But the special forces player, you've got him down as special forces player, and that's Corbin Bevan. Now he had 12 total tackles, and 2 of them were for loss of yards. But this guy does a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
And I got to tell, I just want folks to know, when we make these selections of our Stables Player of the Week, we write down a handful of names. There are at least 3 every week. And on that list, usually, is Corbin Bevan. You tend to get used to a player of his ability, his consistency, his just what I would call professionalism, but you don't pay him.
Right.
So it's hard to say that.
Well, not yet. With the changing rules, you never know what's coming up.
But he does such a terrific job in everything that he does. But what I want to know is, and I want to talk about his offensive play, but we'll come back after the break. In fact, let's do this. Let's go ahead and go to break. Let's talk a little bit more about Corbin Bevan when we come back. You're listening to the Coach Gray Show. Stay with us. We'll be right back. The Bulldog Radio Network.
Programming heard on KPGZ is being underwritten by these local businesses.
The Kearney Chamber of Commerce wants to thank you for supporting our local businesses. Kearney's friendly and authentic small-town atmosphere is created by our people and our distinctive shops, restaurants, and services. Local businesses contribute to our quality of life and to the character of Kearney. Shop local, eat local, enjoy local. It takes you to start the trend. Support the local businesses who support the area where you live, work, and play. This message sponsored by the Kearney Chamber of Commerce.
Mail-in rebates are a pain. Fill out the paperwork, and hopefully you'll get your money in 6 weeks. Kent Porter here for Porter's Building Centers with a solution to mail-in rebates. Ace Rewards from Ace Hardware. When you become a member of Ace Rewards, you'll get all the rebates instantly at the register. Plus, you'll earn points with every purchase, good for even more money-saving coupons. If you sign up today, we'll give you 1,000 free points just for joining. One more way Porter's and Ace save you money. Porter's Building Centers in Kearney. Porter's, we're here to help.
Singleton & Son is a company that's ready to help you maintain and improve your residential or commercial property. We're family owned and operated, which means we do all of our own work and we build our reputation with every job we do. Your satisfaction matters to us. Dirt and gravel, snow and ice, lawn care and landscaping. Singleton & Son is dedicated to providing Kearney and the surrounding area with quality services. For more information or an estimate, you can visit our website at singletonandson.com or call Jerry Singleton at 816-365-8220.
I'm Sean Barber, owner of Stables Local Kitchen and Patio in Kearney. Stables is a Kearney thing. We are all about our Kearney community. We love to be the place where people get together. Stables features a full menu with a scratch kitchen, offering lunch and dinner options, as well as a weekend breakfast starting at 8 a.m. on Saturday and Sundays. We are big believers in keeping it local. Stables has been a proud member of the Kearney community for almost 20 years, and we are very appreciative of the ongoing support from this wonderful community. You can check us out online at stables816.com, and Stables is part of the True 816 family. Eat, drink, local.
And welcome back to the Coach Gray Show. We've got Coach Gray in studio with us today. And we were just talking, Coach, before we went to the break, we were talking about Corbin Bevan, who does a terrific job all over the field. And you were mentioning you couldn't help yourself but talk about him off the air.
Yeah.
Because talk about him. This guy's, he's amazing.
Yeah, he does a lot for us. He's our snapper. He does our long and short snaps. He's on a lot of our special forces units as well. And you know, with kids like that, you know, you definitely want them on the field, obviously.
Right.
And as a good leader in doing so, whatever unit he's on, just like a lot of our guys, you know, just like you always say, it's tough to always pick one guy because you see it from everybody, and
you do.
and you see those things, and Corbin's a good example of humility. I mean, he's very humble. Right. He gives credit where credit's due. Just like we've talked about the rest of the guys that you've mentioned or been on our been on your that you've interviewed and player of the week and stuff. So Corbin's again he's a student of the game, and he just really enjoys playing football.
Well, he had, in addition to all of that, you guys were on and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it was a 4th and short, and it may have been during overtime, or at least toward the end of the game. And he came in as a kind of I guess what I would call a wing back position, maybe a tight end that lines up in the backfield behind the tackle. And there was sort of an inside trap handoff play to him, and Jim inadvertently called Laughlin's number because he looked like Laughlin carrying the ball through that inside, over the center of the guard, and it looked like you're trying to trap, the blockers were trying to trap on one side, and he just ran and bolted right through for a 5-yard gain, and that was a 4th and short. Am I wrong about that?
No, you're right.
Yeah. And it was like, and Jim and I both are going, man, look at this guy. I mean, he could play in the backfield.
He's a load. He's a load. He's a big kid.
Right. And he got his number was called. And it's interesting to me because, if you see him go out on offense, he's going to do one of two things. He's out there to block some really big dude on defense, or he's going to get the ball.
Right. That alleviates, and I think, offensively, that's, trying to get the guys that need to have the touches, the ball in their hands, so let them go perform and to execute. And, obviously none of that would happen without the big dudes up front. Our offensive line did a great job in some of those key situations like that, obviously getting a much needed first down and pushing through. And, they do a good job of, being humble as well and understanding what their role is as part of the offense, and we talk about that in our O-line coach and our offensive line talk, hey, it's not about one person, it's about the team, and what is my job for the team? What do I need to do to execute for us to be successful? And, being a lineman is not a glorious, you don't get all the glory all the time, and for those guys, it's not about me, it's about we and what we need to do as a team, and the trust that we have in our brothers next to us, per se, and they do a good job of buying in and trusting each other, and you're going to see some great play from them continued as we go through the season. They're gelling now, and I really think that that's a group that you're going to see really excel.
Your trenches player of the week this week is number 74, Evan Miles. Now, he's your left tackle, right?
That's right.
Okay.
Yep.
Which reminds me, Jim, that he may have been facing that great big dude, number 75 from Grandview, the 6'7" guy.
7'4", according to Jim.
You're right. All night long.
Right.
And that dude was a load.
Yeah.
And, so it would tell me that Evan Miles did a really nice job. And talk about him a little bit.
With Evan, is a lot of it with him is he's a very smart football player, and understands the schemes and understands what obviously what his job is, and he's a pretty big rascal himself, and is very fundamentally sound, and does a good job of executing, just like and that's going back to it's a hard thing. Evan did a great job on Friday night, and as a good leader, and guys respond to him, and as you look across the offensive line, and for that matter defensive line, because we look at both sides of the ball, and which is always difficult to do, and and sometimes when you single somebody out, you're like, well, does that? But the thing of it is if one person is having success, that means others are having success as well.
I see.
In my viewpoint, I mean, if you're having success as a running back, well, what's contributing to that? If you're having success as a quarterback, what's contributing to that? It's not just one guy that makes it work. It's everybody. And But it's, in the same token, Evan did a great job on Saturday. Friday, Saturday, however you want.
It was a 2-day football game.
Yeah. So, and he had some injuries early on in the year and has really done a great job of coming back from them and persevered through that, physically, but also mentally. I mean, that mental toughness that you kind of have to make it through a season with being banged up a little bit.
So talking about people having good games and doing well because of the team, why won't anybody kick to Stevens?
Well,
everybody kicks like 10 yards.
Yeah,
I'm like, come on.
Hey, that's great field position.
It is. But
but also loses a dynamic weapon that we have back there as well. I think, and with whatever returner is back there, but obviously Jacob, early on had those touchdown runs, and you better be aware where that cat's at.
Yeah, it's just kind of funny because these guys kick these kicks and they're like, they barely go 20 yards and they're so intent on keeping it away from him.
Right.
So I'm waiting for one of these times when you're one of your up guys just takes off and then to be like, now what are you gonna do?
Right.
Listen, I wouldn't be a bit surprised to see one of those kids do that. I mean, they are that good.
That group's a good. Yeah.
Yep. The only problem is when it comes to the up guys, it's usually bouncing all over the place. So you gotta
fall on
you
it.
Better keep your eyes on it. Look
Get
it
the
in your
ball
hands
first, and then run with it.
That's right. That is always.
Yeah.
You get some of those hoppers that come through there, and you get your eyes up, trying to see where you're going before you actually have the ball in your possession, instead of seeing it in your hands and seeing it tucked and then running.
Right, exactly.
That's a key point.
Yeah,
have the football.
Exactly.
And we do a good job of that.
You look ridiculous standing in the end zone all by yourself with the ball way back there.
That's a bad thing. That'd be bad for the Bulldogs.
Oh man! All right. Well, let's. We did get together this week on the defensive player. Your defensive player of the week is Buster Lawrence.
Yeah.
And our Stables 102.7 FM player of the week is Buster Lawrence. And let me just tell you what this guy did. Buster had an interception, caused a fumble. He had 3 tackles, and he had terrific man-to-man coverage all day and night long. For 2 days, he had great man-to-man coverage. I mean, one of the things we've
seen...
And
his interception was key because it was in overtime.
Yeah. It was.
And yeah, that's huge.
And we just see him, week after week around the ball, making plays, and that's not to overshadow anybody on that secondary. John Walters is crazy good.
Yeah, he's clicking now too.
Yeah.
And that's what you want to see, obviously, in the middle of the season,
right?
Where you're getting confidence in yourself. And I think talking about Buster, his confidence level right now in his play is very high, and has done a great job of getting mentally ready and understanding what he's capable of and believing in. And that's, you talk about, guys that are very football savvy and have athleticism. That's, they all do, obviously, or they wouldn't be playing, right? But a key component with playing football as well is that belief in yourself and believing that you're going to do it. You're believing that you're going to make the catch, and I'm going to catch the ball. It's not, I have to catch the ball. It's, I'm going to catch the ball, or I'm going to get the first down, or I'm going to make my block. I'm going to make the tackle, and believing in yourself, and then believing in your teammates as well, that they're going to do their job as well. And that, you're never trying to do too much. And you're never trying to, play above and beyond of what you're capable of doing. But that belief in yourself is such a key component, especially I think in high school football, where there's a lot of times, in high school football, guys are trying to figure themselves out yet. I mean, you're still growing. You're a young teenager you're young. You're figuring out what you're capable of and what you're able to do, and, that confidence level and being a young man and having confidence in what you do and what you're about, and that whole belief system in yourself before you can kind of believe in your teammates. And, not to go off on a tangent there, but
I think that's absolutely true.
But with a lot of our guys, we're there, we're getting there. We're in that moment of I believe in myself, and I can believe in, the guy to my left and right and behind me, wherever, that they're going to do their job. And that energy, stems from one person, and it just gets infectious to that buy-in piece of themselves and then in each other. It's kind of like, the offense gets the 3 and out. Well, how are we going to respond to that 3 and out?
Yeah.
What is that going to look like? Is it, I'm going to listen to, maybe one of my teammates is coming off the field and is trying to get that group going. Am I going to have, belief in myself that, he's exactly right. We got this. This isn't a problem. We're okay. And then that spreads to you. And then that goes around to the whole team to where now, okay, we're on the same page. Everything's fine. We're okay. We can come back and we're battling through that. And that's what I liked about Saturday's game. I think that was may not have been the prettiest win, but a win's a win. And that was an important win for us because I think we felt that trust factor, and we believed in ourselves to get the job done, to get those key first downs, to get the pick, to get the stops. And that was a growing moment for us. So that was, and I know I said it earlier, but I'm very proud of those guys for taking that step and that belief in themselves, and to have that energy, that we could have been down and dropped our heads and like, man, we went 3 and out here. We're going 3 and out, but to grab a hold of it and, somebody say, hey, we got this.
Right.
And then the other guy listened to him. Well, we got this. I believe you. I trust you. And then that spreads through the team, and it spreads through that specific unit. And that's what we're trying to get those guys to do, is to understand. So that was a big, big moment for us, I think, in the game, or in the, as far as a program wise of where we're at. I think we were definitely with that. And that goes the same thing with defense. It could be, they drive down and they score. We didn't get a stop, or we didn't, we didn't get off the field like we should have. And, but we battled back through that. We hung together. We bought in together. We're there working through it. So,
right.
Yeah.
Well, good
Buster
job.
did a great job.
No, good job, Buster, and good
Yeah.
job the whole secondary.
Yeah.
Dawson Minor,
Yep.
I see him. He does the same thing. These guys are asked to
do a lot.
I mean, to tell you, when it's man-to-man coverage against what we saw, Grandview had a couple of really speedy wide receivers, and in fact, Jim and I talked about it, that if Kearney couldn't contain, if one of those speedy guys got on the outside and got loose, it was tough to cover them. And they were really, really fast. And in fact, I think that Saturday touchdown by number 83 that I can't remember, Jim, we called his name so many times you think we'd know it by now, but it was just one of those times when he just got loose. And, you cover 9 times out of 10, and then on the 10th one they score.
That's why, in the secondary, you have to have a short memory.
Yes.
You got to have a short memory, because you're going to get battled again, you're going to get tested again, and you got to be ready to step up to execute.
Right. Well, in fact, when I talked to Buster after the game, again, he just like all the guys. I said, how do you do this? How do you keep doing this week after week? Great coverage. And he talked about the coaching staff. He said it's just, it's always about the coaching staff. And I asked him about how the secondary was coming together, and he just said, we're getting there.
Right.
He didn't really even feel like that, that we're there yet. But I have seen such a change and such a difference, even in 4 games now, over the even a couple of tough games, that the secondary played very well, but they keep getting better.
That's key.
That's what you want.
That's hopefully as when you're going through the season that you get better. And I think that was the thing from way back when we first started kind of talking back week 1 or before week 1. We've got to get better each week, and we've got to improve. And sometimes maybe that isn't seen as you're watching the game as a spectator. But we see it as a staff as we go through and watch the film, or we see things that, hey, that's, the little things that make the big difference in the long run that we're growing and we're getting better at.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I want to finish up with your selections of players of the week, too, and that would be offensive player is Gavin Smith, who had the 1-yard rushing touchdown. And, Brian, we've got sound on that one. Can we play that for the folks? Because that's a good one.
So with 5:53 left to go in the first half, Kearney Bulldogs have the ball at the 1-inch line. 1st and goal. Acosta moves up under center. He takes the snap, quick handoff, and that was actually Gavin Smith who walked into the end zone.
Yeah, the official over there on the far side on the goal line, Jim, wasted no time getting both arms up and calling that a touchdown. Credit that big offensive line of the Kearney Bulldogs.
You could tell how surprised I was because I was expecting it to be Garrett.
Yeah.
And then I
Right.
looked
Yeah.
down there and I was like, wait a second.
That was Gavin.
If you guys could send us a memo when
Yeah,
you're going to
we're
do
gonna
that,
do
so
that.
we know ahead of time.
Hey, you know one of the best things that whole soundbite right there. More cowbell.
More cowbell.
More cowbell, baby. Love it. That is. It's amazing what the crowd's able to do to bring that energy to a football game, and it was awesome, and always more cowbell.
You know, and I think it's because the way the new stadium's built or the new bleacher system was built or whatever. But when you guys face a third down and you're trying to stop, it gets really loud up there. I don't know how it translates down on the field.
Oh, it's loud. That's good.
It's loud up where we are.
Get loud, KMO.
There you go.
You heard it from the coach. More cowbell. You're listening to the Coach Gray Show. We will be right back. We've got a few messages from all of our sponsors for the Bulldog Radio Network. Have a listen. Come on back. We'll be here.
A special thank you going out to underwriters like these for their support of KPGZ.
Since opening our doors, TDR Auto Plaza has made major changes with a full-service department open to the public, and we have brought in more late model and low-mileage trucks and cars for our customers. We know there's a lot of places you can buy a vehicle, but we're your hometown dealership, and we're there for you when you need us most. We've been helping our neighbors drive dependable vehicles and save money year after year. TDR Auto Plaza, 801 North Country Avenue in Kearney. The phone number is 816-903-3300. TDR, your hometown dealer, changing the way used cars are sold.
So we really want Porter's Kearney Body Shop to be your true neighborhood body shop.
Yeah, but most people have heard that before. What's different about Porter's?
Your vehicle is a big investment. We know that. When something needs fixing, you want to know it's going to be done right and that you're getting the right deal too.
So how do I know Porter's is more than just words?
You'll get neighborhood service because we are your neighbors. Whatever the make or model, our job is to keep you on the road, not in the shop.
Porter's Kearney Body Shop, 104 West Main Street in Kearney, 816-628-5621. Porter's, where customers have been driving away happy since 1982.
State Farm, Kathy here.
Hey, it's Mike. My team just pulled off the biggest upset ever.
Nice, Mike.
And some fans are getting crazy. They even flipped over a car.
Whoa.
Turns out it's my car, though.
Oh.
But I don't want to be upset right now. I want to know State Farm's going to take care of this, right?
We got you covered, Mike.
Yes! Woo!
Go with the one that's here to help life go right. State Farm.
Tracy Tucker, State Farm at 751 Watson Drive, Suite D in Kearney, Missouri. 816-903-5550.
Football players know linemen are vital to the team. We know that too. Platte Clay Electric Cooperative's mission is to empower communities and energize life with safe and reliable energy. And a vital part of our team working to make this happen includes our dedicated linemen. From building new lines and services to restoring your power, even in the worst storm conditions, our trained linemen are vital to the success of your cooperative. Platte Clay Electric Cooperative. For more information about our services, you can visit us online at www.pcec.coop.
Welcome back to the Coach Gray Show. And you know the reason we call it the Coach Gray Show? Because Coach Gray is right here in this very room. We talked to him in person.
Who brought the smart guy?
It is amazing.
Nicely
I
done.
know. Every week he shows up. We can't run him off. You'd think by now he'd say, I'm tired of you guys. Coach, we were talking about Gavin Smith before we went to break. And let's just pick up where we left off there.
You know, Gavin is a lot of, doesn't get his number called a whole lot to run the football. I mean, we've got a few plays in there for him, and he's a kid that comes to work every day, and it's kind of like that extra lineman a lot of the time in the things that he does, and does a great job of blocking, and he's out into some passes every now and again depending upon what's going on, but has really grown into that fullback position, and has really come a long way and has done a great job, and Coach Rooney, our fullback coach, does a great job with him and getting him prepared, and having him there, and to see him grow through the season so far has been, from the start to now. There's another guy that's come through and has stepped up and done a great job.
No doubt about that, Coach. A couple of guys. I want to finish up on defense here, and then let's go to offense because we got several guys I want to mention. But on defense, just real quickly, Andrew Swain and Anthony Wadsworth each had a quarterback sack, and this is really funny too. Your kicker, your almost 54-yard leg kicker, had a sack.
Yeah.
Now, what's going on with that?
I don't know if he's a kicker that plays linebacker or a linebacker that also kicks. But he did a great job, and talking about Anthony and Swain,
right?
Those guys, they've got motors on them, and they really understand the position. They understand what their job is, and have a motor. And I know we've talked about Anthony quite a bit in past times.
Right.
And he's a fun one to have on your team, and as you all those rascals up at D linemen are quite the trio of guys with Colt Post and Swain too.
What'd you call him? You had a nickname for him. You did it last week. The big.
I think, or was that the offensive line?
The O line or
the big uglies?
The big uglies and uglies,
or whatever.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I think we mentioned that on the air during the game too. Yeah,
they just have fun, and you see it from them, and their energy radiates throughout the defense and throughout the team. And Colt Post had another heck of a game, and him and Anthony both, I believe, and Andrew Swain Train. We kind of call him the Swain Train.
The Swain Train. Yeah.
Well, yeah. So, anyways, had a great game. When you score double-digit points, from tackles and execute whatever, off of that, they just another good game from those guys up front.
One of the things I noticed with Andrew Swain, he had not a whole lot of tackles here, but he had an assist. But what I noticed about him, and I mentioned it on one of the play calls, Jim, that as I followed up, he got in the backfield and he was running down number 25, the quarterback of Grandview. And I don't think he knew that he was being pursued that closely. And so I'm seeing number 14 with this closing speed that is almost ready to take this quarterback down as he's trying to get around the edge on the outside. And as soon as he realized that Swain was right there, he just put it into gear and did finally make it around the outside edge. But fortunately, I think somebody stopped him, with not too much of a gain. But it was really interesting to see how many times both of those guys were in the backfield, both Wadsworth and Swain, just doing a nice job all night long. Yeah, go ahead. What else can you say about him? We talk about him every week.
Right.
I mean, and they're just.
And it was good to see. Breedlove to come in and play some linebacker, and to get in and to be able to have some success, obviously, and to be able to perform when he's called upon to do so. And that's that's the thing that a lot of some of these younger guys, or even the other that work in or try to work in, is they got to be you got to be ready, and you got to prepare that way during the week to know that you never know when you're going to get in the game. You don't know. And that's hard as a coach to say, well, hey, you're going to get in. Well, sometimes you just, it depends on how things are going, and know if somebody needs a blow or whatever the case may be,
right.
So you never know when you got to be ready to go in the game. And, our guys do a good job of understanding that. And, there's a long list of names that are ready at a moment's notice to get in and to take care of business. That's the expectation.
Yeah, and I know here's a guy that John Walters, who was, I think last year was one of those guys that he wasn't in there all the time, right?
No.
And in fact, he got big too. He's one of those guys like Laughlin that over the summer I thought that kid, that was a big, tall, skinny kid last year when I saw him. And
I'm gonna have to go, if he's listening, I'm gonna have to go back and I'm gonna end up having to swell his head back down.
Right.
He's flexing in the mirror all the time in the weight room.
Well,
flexing up, look at these, and I'm like,
there's no reason to be ashamed because Mike does that back here.
Well, I on the other hand, Jim, I on the other hand look in the mirror and I run away scared.
Well, you did the other day. You were pretty proud of yourself.
Yeah,
I was embarrassed for him, but that's
maybe so. Maybe you should stay out of the shower room when I'm in there.
Ew.
The 102.7 FM locker room. No, that's not true. We're making that up. Brian saying, move on.
Derailed that one.
One other guy before we move on to offense. It was Caden Borchert, who had a fumble recovery. John Walters actually was a star on defense. Just real quickly, because he had a pass defended with 6 tackles. Caden Borchert had the fumble recovery.
Yeah,
which I saw guys all over the field, Coach, making plays.
We're starting to get it. We're getting into what it feels like to do the right thing over and over. If that makes sense, you think that you know that, but those things sometimes, it's 1 week. There's, as you've seen, 1 week you're looking like you got to figure it out, and then next week, maybe we're not quite there yet, and I think we're seeing that reoccur, the doing things the right way and understanding and swarming the ball. And Caden is a very smart football player. He's one of the smarter football players that I've seen. Now there's another head I'm going to have to kind of. I need to watch what the heck I say, don't I?
You're going to spend a whole practice trying to get everybody under control.
Tell these guys, just tell them we're going to stop talking about it.
Yeah. There's going to be a big clog at the front door of the school tomorrow.
Right.
Get your head on the door.
And that the good thing about it is, they're pretty grounded, and we can ground them pretty quickly as far as making sure their head's where it needs to be. But Caden does a great job of understanding the football game as a sense. As far as he's a guy that continually works, but it comes natural to him. He's a natural. The thing with just like all the rest of the guys, we got to continue to grow. He's got to continue to grow just like everybody else, and to continue to do the right things and make sure that, everything that we're doing is going forward and not regressing, and learn from mistakes that we make and learn from doing things the right way.
Right. And I think, you mentioned having a short memory, especially as it applies to your secondary. Anybody, frankly, who makes a missed play or a bad play, you want to put it behind you. But by the same token, and I think it's exactly what you're saying here, the good play needs to be put behind you because it's done too.
Yeah.
It's over with.
You got to move on. You better be honed in, ready to go.
For the next play, for the next game. You bet. All right, let's move on to the offense. Terrific job on defense to you, Coach, and all the kids. Ian Acosta finished 9 of 20 for 57 yards and a touchdown to Stevens, which was, it's just so much fun seeing number 11 out there cut across the field and have the ball thrown right to him. Although in this case, and he, by the way, this play is our Kearney Chamber of Commerce play of the game. And thank you to the Kearney Chamber for sponsoring that. Acosta delivered the ball to him as well as any quarterback could have thrown this ball. And we talk about it here in this cut because he was really, really covered.
Costa drops back to pass, looking downfield, looks over the middle. He's got Stevens in the end zone for a touchdown. Acosta to Stevens on a 27-yard pass touchdown.
Jacob Stevens was just completely covered by the defender, number 21, Davion Franklin, who's done a real nice job of pass coverage over there. And again, Stevens just jumped up, used his athletic ability on very, very good coverage by the cornerback of the Grandview Bulldogs for the touchdown.
Yeah, what a great play. I mean, and it shows the belief in Acosta that he can deliver the ball where it needs to be, and B, Stevens going up and making that, obviously a heck of a catch and and reeling it in and obviously getting a touchdown. I mean, that says a lot about his ability to go up and be a go-getter and go get the ball.
It absolutely does. And I think when you talk about a game like this where it's just there are certain plays that are made by players all over the field. I mean, 9 of 20 for 57. Those aren't glowing statistics.
Right.
It's not a big deal, though, because that particular play was so incredibly necessary.
And those are things that are going to come, I mean, with more time from him, too. I mean,
right.
he's just...
I would expect that you'll just see it more often, but to see it thrown and the level of confidence that he had, number one, in Stevens' ability to jump up and take that ball, because we watched that kid all night long, the opposing cornerback,
right,
just blanket cover anybody that came in his territory. And this was just one of those jobs of a pass and a catch that looked so well timed and both the kids made it look so easy, Acosta and Stevens, and it's just one of those fun plays to watch. So again, thanks to the Kearney Chamber of Commerce for that play of the game. Let's go to Garrett Laughlin. I think for a guy who runs 118 yards and you just expect to just bulldoze his way in for a touchdown or two. He didn't have any touchdowns. He had 27 carries for 118 yards. But what that does for the rest of the team, and particularly on a night like what we saw, and then the continuation of that game, which it looked like it might have sort of the gears might have seized up a little bit on you. He's still blowing through there and delivering punishing blows to would-be tacklers.
Some great second and third effort runs, and where he broke through and made some great second effort plays to get the yardage that we needed. Whether it was a first down, and it's the same thing with Jacob. To be honest, there were some plays that he made after contact, and was able to pick up some key yardage for us. So.
Yeah, and Brian says we just got a few minutes left here, so I want to make sure we cover these other guys. Let's see, Laughlin. Sorry, that may be from last week. So I may have, you do a little copy and paste, and you know how that goes. Logan Ariano, I want to talk about him. 22 yards of rushing, but I did get a chance to see his speed, and it was incredible. And I mean, when he was warming up, it was a little warm up that he was working on, and it was just amazing to watch how quick that guy can move, and good to see him out there and get a few carries.
Yeah, he's done a great job of stepping into position, get on the field. He's obviously he's pretty fast kid. He's I think we've talked about before with him being an exceptional track athlete and as an exceptional football player. And there's a lot of great times ahead for him as well. And he's pretty fearless, to be honest, and is willing to go toe to toe with whatever we ask him to do, and has done a great job. So it's been definitely fun to watch him grow thus far this season, and to earn a spot up on the field to get out there to make those plays.
Right, and he's the kind of guy that as I was looking at this young team early on, Jim and I go back to the Jamboree and we talk about the kids that we saw over there that evening, and I mean in what. We're getting ready to go to our fifth game. That was our fifth game.
Mike's not good with math,
and nobody asked me to do that on this show, Jim.
Until now,
we avoid it. So the whole point about this, Jim, before you interrupted me, was that this was an incredible night of seeing these kids from all over the field make plays at the right time, right place at the right time, and what you could argue is maybe not the prettiest game that they've played. With all of that said, Jim, we're heading to where next week?
Well, before we get to that, the one thing I was going to say is I am really excited to not only with this one player, but to see the whole team as they grow. But Breedlove, I talk about this.
I had the
last
poster.
You had a poster of. Who did you have a poster of?
Was it Amu?
Well,
You
always said it was Amu, but
you had a poster of Amu in your house. I have a picture of Breedlove. That guy, so as a sophomore, there's 2 more years plus this year of watching him kick, and I'm assuming that there's going to be another opportunity, but at the sophomore level, the 54 yards to come in at 53.216.
Stop saying that. 216. we don't want others to know that.
Oh, everybody knows.
Yeah,
It was on ESPN. Everybody saw it. But
it's true. That's true.
I am so looking forward to that. But I was so impressed with the distance on that. And if he's a sophomore kicking that far,
I know. I'm with you. We're short on
he's
time.
He's got to continue to work.
Because you watch what happens next year. Okay,
right,
next week will be the Belton Pirates. The Bulldogs are going to travel out to Belton.
And,
0-5. 0-5. But records are records,
right?
Because you're going to have the Pirates going. It got to me, Bulldog chewing on my peg leg.
There it is, right there. That's good. That might be cricket worthy.
Yeah.
We're not sure.
Yeah. I'm not going to do that anymore.
No, that's all right.
Good night.
Coach, what do you do with a 0-5 team that could be a little scary? You never know.
That's exactly right. It's we're on the road going there. They've got a big offensive line, and they've got some athletes out in space that can definitely can hurt you vertically, so we've got to be able to make sure that we're dialed in and we're ready to go. And in high school football, to me, and I, could be totally wrong, but to me in high school football, you've got to be ready each week. And it doesn't matter who your opponent is. You got to play at your level of expectation and expect the things that we should expect. And that needs to carry over. And, we can't worry about who we're playing. And that doesn't mean of whatever the record may be, whether they're 5-0 or 0-5 or 1 whatever it is, you've got to play to your level of football. And you can't, regress and play, try to play over yourself, and you can't play below yourself. You got to play at the level we expect us to play and make sure we're executing. So it's not to be redundant again, but it's about us and making sure we're taking strides and worry about what we need to worry about and worry about us executing as opposed to what somebody's record is. Because in high school football, you see it all the time on Saturdays.
Yeah,
and you see it all the time on Fridays too.
Yep.
I mean, anybody at any given time, you got to be ready. I mean, so we're going into with the attitude we got to worry about us, and if we execute like we should and know how to, we'll see how things go. But
right.
I'm pretty confident that we're we've got a good grasp on what we need to do.
You're
and
doing your part,
and how we.
Right.
That's what we got. That's the only thing we can worry about.
Right.
Is that.
Right. No doubt about it. Great job today, Coach, and terrific job, you, Jim. And on behalf of all of the Bulldog Radio Network sponsors, we want to thank you for making this possible. You have been listening to the Coach Gray Show, the Bulldog Radio Network, 102.7 FM. Thanks for being with us. We'll be back next week on Thursday at noon with Coach Gray. See you then.